Sit here and smile. Welcome to the Second Line Show. I'm Nola Nash. Let's let the good times roll. Welcome to the Second Line Show. Once again, I am your host, Nola Nash. We have got a super fun show for you tonight. Fabulously fun, ladies. We're going to have us a great time. And as we get going, let me remind you guys, go ahead and put your comments in the comments section. If you haven't given StreamYard permission to use your Facebook profile, please put your name in there so I know who you are. I do like to refer to people by name, give them credit for the comments that they posted. But if you don't give StreamYard permission, I just have to say Facebook user. And so that's not nearly as much fun as knowing who's out there. So go ahead and do that for me. Get those comments going. We'll get to as many of those as we can. We'll work them in throughout the show. And if we don't get to you, don't worry. We will come back through all the places that we are broadcasting live tonight and check in on those comments after the show as well. So without further ado, let me introduce you to who we have with us tonight. We have got a powerhouse of authors tonight. My good friend Laura Kemp is here. KJ Dell'Antonia is here. And Peggy Lampman, and of course, Miss Alison Ragsdale. So, ladies, I'm going to let you introduce yourselves to the viewers out there. And we are live in several places. I'm going to start kind of keeping an eye on the comments here. Betty Taylor is here. Peggy Baldwin is here. Deborah King, we know and love. Fabulous author, Deborah King. Love her. She is a regular tuning in and commenting on the show. So good to see you, Deborah. So I'm going to start with, we go Brady Bunch style here. So Laura is practice herself. Oh, no. Let's do it. Oh, my finger just
I get all messed up.
Going backwards is so weird. It's like left is right and right is left.
I know. It's like Alice, that's a rabbit hole. I'm Laura, and I am good friends with Nola, and I am a writer, and I have written 2 books, and the third is, I don't know, I'm on chapter, I shouldn't say, I'm halfway through the third, but my debut novel, Evening in the Yellowwood, and the sequel, Snow and Summer, was released November 18th, and I am busy promoting that. I'm busy being a mom to 4. I'm busy trying to virtually teach and get my kids virtually through school and write. So, yeah, I have a lot on my plate right now. So it's nice to be able to kick back and just relax with you ladies tonight a little bit.
I feel Laura's pain as a teacher and author myself and parent.
I'm trying to grade papers. I got out here really fast. Oh, I just do a few papers. Oh, goodness. A few more.
Rochelle is here. Hi, Rochelle. Rochelle Alexandra is here. She's tuning in from Scotland over here. Rochelle has written a wonderful book. If you guys haven't had a chance to read In Alexa's Shoes, it's a great Holocaust book. Absolutely need to read her book. It's fantastic. It's actually about her grandmother's story, and it's amazing. So hi, Ragsdale. We're glad to have you here with us. Another fantastic author tuning in. A Facebook user says hi, Laura. So hey, Facebook user, I don't know who you are, but hi.
I'm sure I don't know whoever you are.
Yes. All right, so Laura, we got Christine here. We've got so many friends. Let's see. Here's Betty Taylor. She loves the screen behind me. Your cherry blossom.
All my kids come downstairs. I have a staircase behind me, and this is the living room. And the kids come down, the dog, the cat, my husband. So I just got this screen to just
awesome
everything out back there. So.
I think it'd be really funny that come down and then run back up.
I know, yeah.
I had a student whose dad walked through the Zoom in his pajamas the other day, and she's just like, oh my God. 8th grade girl does not want her dad in his pajamas walking through the back over.
Better just put the screen up.
I think that's what I may have to say. Jillian, go get a screen. I thought it was hilarious and kind of teased her about it for a while. All right, so Laura, if I go this way, then you have to tag KJ.
Oh goodness, how do I?
You gotta go the other way, the other hand. Yeah, there you go.
You're it.
Okay.
embarrassingly difficult.
Tag, you're
Success.
Oh, I got it.
I
All right.
am KJ Dell'Antonia. That is my dog in the background. I'm sitting in front of like a lovely bookcase, but immediately, like in any direction, is open house and on a sewing machine, all kinds of crap. I am the author of The Chicken Sisters. This is my debut novel, and I'm super excited about it. It just came out on December 1st. I'm also the author of Other Hand, How to Be a Happier Parent, which is, I keep telling people, it is nonfiction and it is not a blank book. So I was a journalist for many years. I wrote about parenting and family and the cultural politics of raising a family in the U.S. for the New York Times, and that book is the result of that particular era in my life of journalism. So it's also not a memoir.
Not a memoir, not a blank book. We've got qualifications here. Yeah. Caveats. All right. Let's see.
Alison.
I can get to.
Oh, I don't think I can possibly. Wait, I
have to tag Alison. There you go. And then Alison. Tag you're in, Alison.
Hello, KJ. Hi, everybody. I'm Alison Ragsdale. Scots lass, but live in the US now. I'm the author of 7 books so far, and I write in the women's fiction genre. All my books are set in Scotland, which is my homeland. And I like to write tearjerkers, highly emotional stuff, reach for the Kleenex type books. They have uplifting messages too, though. It keeps me busy. I'm currently working on number 8, which is scheduled to come out in April. My first with a new publisher, so that's super exciting. And I'm sitting up in my office, my dog's bedroom. And she may well join us. She usually does. She wanders in and out behind me when I'm doing these chit chats. And that's me. I'm keeping busy and loving what I do, and great to see you all here tonight.
Yay! Thank you so much, Alison. All right, now you get to tag Peggy. Otherwise, it's backwards. All right, Peggy, can you tag Alison? Otherwise,
No, anywhere.
we haven't even gotten very far into the wine yet.
I've got a spritzer here.
Got my wine. You guys know me, I'm a Moscato. I've got my Moscato going. Cheers, Peggy. All right, tell us all about you.
Well, I am a writer. I've written 3 books of contemporary women's fiction. Oops, how do you? Oh, they're all backwards, aren't they?
No, only 2.
3.
There we go.
And I like to say that I write fiction that provokes the mind and touches the heart. And I like thornier issues. I really, for instance, this one, although it looks really super cute and fun and cozy, actually it speaks of issues of gentrification and displacement of people. Of course, it's uplifting. Of course, there's love and all the good stuff in it too. But I like the prickly issues which make life interesting as well. And I grew up in Alabama, so I am familiar with hurricanes. We were just and I'm friends with Alison over there, so I've read every one of her books, and she is an amazing writer. So I have to give her a shout out. And I've got one of Laura's books. And KJ, I like the name of your book, The Chicken.
Thank you.
Chicken Sisters.
Yeah. Well, anyway, I live in Michigan now, and I know Laura does too.
Oh, you do?
Yes. Right now, I'm in my bunker. We have a rustic lake house in northern Michigan. It's 10 miles north of Elk Rapids.
Okay.
And we're hiding out during the bug season.
Elk Rapids. Now, if you show me your hand, because this is how we do in Michigan. Where are you?
It's right. It's on Lake Michigan. It's right there. It's close to Traverse City.
Oh, okay. So you're kind of up here.
Yeah. It's close to Traverse. Yeah. Where do you live?
Well, I live in White Pigeon, which is down by Kalamazoo, but we're buying property up in Leroy here pretty soon, which is, are you close to Leroy?
I'm
Kind of.
not familiar with it. No, but
Cadillac
I
area?
got a map over there. I should pay, but this isn't about.
Yeah.
Yeah, I ended up. I went to. I grew up in Alabama. My family's still in Alabama, but I ended up going to the University of Michigan and staying there. I had a little hiatus in New York City for a while. I was for a PR firm, but then I moved back to my college town and got married, had kids, got divorced, got remarried. You know how that goes. So
Yeah,
I don't know how that goes, but anyway. Oh, you know how it goes. Okay, well, it goes.
I guess.
I'm absolutely delighted to be here. Nola, thank you so much for having us.
Well, thank you guys so much for joining us. And guys, I know those out there in viewer land, we are not intentionally leaving Claire Fullerton out.
No.
Unfortunately, she and her internet and power have been the victims of the windstorms out in the Malibu area. And so she could not join us tonight. She was really sad that she couldn't join the conversation. And we were sad that she couldn't be with us. But we're hoping that everything kind of holds together for her and she has her power back soon. But it wasn't looking good for tonight. So unfortunately, Claire's not going to be able to join us. But we'll get her in on another show. Anytime anybody is not able to join us, we do work them in. Absolutely sending her all the best tonight. So maybe she can tune in and see what she missed tonight. We have got some fun things. We've got lots of folks in the comments. And so I've kind of been scanning them, guys. Another Alabama shout out here.
Yeah.
Alabama. And I got to tell you, Peggy, I was really glad to hear that you went to the University of Michigan instead of Alabama, because, being from South Louisiana, I'd have to love you anyway if that was the case. It's that whole LSU Alabama thing. It's just not.
Oh, I know. It's true. I come from these big football places for some reason. I mean, I even have a Valentine from Bear Bryant, but that's before your day. So
I'll let it go. I will love you anyway. I promise. Oh my gosh. So we've got, let's see, Heidi Rose is here. Hello, Heidi. Claudia Reed is here. Denise is here. Those really fun people. Rebecca. Christine's all excited. She's just having herself a good time. And wanted to play you guys, but she can't use her hand to show you. She's just gonna have to.
Here we go.
There's Christine.
Yes, there she is. All right, so we have got, let me find what that was so I can get back to our big screen here. We did have some great news, and we mentioned it just a little earlier. We were talking about it, but because I've made the graphic, I'm going to use the graphic because I think it's fun. So here we go. Chicken Sisters, look, yeah, it has been chosen as Reese's Hello Sunshine December book club today. So we are super excited for KJ to have that honor. And she was telling us a little bit about what she knows from getting an email from Reese and super fun things that go with that. So, look, yeah, we're excited for you.
Yeah.
Look, yeah. That is really exciting. So KJ, just because we have this big announcement and it's such a huge deal, I know we're all curious. How did you find out that this was Reese's December?
It's so funny because you know how you write a book and then you're like talking to your friends. You're like, I don't know how I'm going to share it with people. And this friend of mine who's like, she's actually a travel agent and she loves marketing and everything. And she was trying to help me. She's like, you could paint your car like a chicken and you could do that. And she called me like the next day after we have this walk where we're coming up with this ice. And she's like, did you know Reese Witherspoon has a book club? And I was like, yeah, I knew. And that's, I never gave it another thought. And it's not like she did anything. It's just, I swear she magicked it up. I'm certain that every publisher known to man stacks up every book they have. And Reese probably has a whole extra house for the books. Like they're all there.
Yes.
Reese and Oprah.
No idea like how she got mine, but my phone rang one night. We were sitting around watching Brooklyn Nine-Nine, like you do during a pandemic with your kids. Meet at Mindy Sandberg. And I flip it over and it's my editor. And okay, my phone never rings and my editor certainly never calls. And I'm just like, oh, they're canceling it. Like they're just, they're coveting the book. Like they're gonna pull the plug. They're not just postponing it, they're just giving up. And I was like, then we turned on and we paused the TV. Hello. And she said, this is the best phone call I've ever made. So,
that is the holy grail. That's a holy grail.
It was the magic fairy dust. And yes, I am just going to enjoy every minute because it'll never happen like that again. But that's okay.
Don't say that.
Who knows? Who knows? I mean, this could be a brand new roller coaster ride for you. You could be on it for a while, for all you know. Just hang on and go for it.
Right.
You guys all know each other, so I feel like the new girl at lunch.
We actually don't. Alison, I've seen interviews with you and Peggy. I don't think we've actually met before.
Oh, okay.
Laura and I have the same publisher, and I mean, we're good friends, but actually Laura and I have never met in person. We've only met this way and on phone and stuff. So we keep waiting on an opportunity.
One I know, Alison, whatever.
All right, we'll better place at the lunch table.
Hello. Yes.
Tight. Alison and I are tight. But I don't
we'll get the hands right
here. So you're not you're not sitting alone at the lunch table. No.
I'll sit at the lunch table.
That's right. We will all sit with you. And I mean, you brought the right drink, so you're with us. I tried to get I know it's the Hello Sunshine book club, so I brought my sunshiny yellow Piper Lou cup. Y'all know I love my Piper Lou. It's actually sunflower, the doggy print on it.
Nice.
So cute.
Oh, that's cute.
I
really did grow up in Kansas, which is where my book is at. So
that's awesome. So cool. Well, I was trying really hard to be like matchy. And I'm not normally matchy, but I was really going for it today. My God, everything. Oh my goodness. Let's see. Everybody loved your accent, Alison, of course. Of course. Betty says you must be on cloud nine, and rightfully so, which we absolutely all would be, I'm sure. I don't know that my feet are on the ground yet, honestly.
Yeah, I don't know that they will. Just like cloud.
When did you find out?
Oh, they do tell you ahead of time because they do print the seal on the books. So, it's not like you don't find out when they announce it or anything, but they don't want to tell you too far ahead because they love that ritual. I don't know if you guys follow them, but the fun ritual they do where they have somebody give the clues and then people guess. It is really cute. I'm looking forward to doing like the clues for next month's book. So that'll be fun.
Oh, that will be fun. Okay, since we have chicken in KJ's book. Somebody else has got chickens in a book. Who is it?
Oh, I do. It's
Peggy does. Peggy's got chickens in a book.
Yeah.
And Laura, you have chickens in your yard.
I have chickens in real life.
I have chickens in real life too.
Okay. Real life.
So my question for you, normally whenever I have you do your intros, I have you answer some stupid question. Because that's what I do. And since I didn't have you do it before, because we were getting to the chicken sisters thing. So now you have to tell me, how do you like your chicken? Baked? Fried, rotisserie, or alive? So if you this is a vegetarian friendly question.
Is this a real question for me?
That's your question, Laura. We'll start with you and then we'll go back around like Radio on Circle.
I like fried chicken. I love fried chicken.
Or nuggeted. You could also have nuggeted.
I love McDonald's nuggets. I know my kids go there all the time and I always get the McDonald's chicken. I don't know what it is about. But I also love my chickens, my actual chickens, although I do have kind of a funny chicken story. We got a new rooster, an unknown rooster a few days ago, and he's young, and my daughter came back in with all of these little injury marks on the back of her. Yeah, she'd gone down and he was very protective of the hens. We didn't know a lot about. He actually attacked my daughter. He flew up into the air. He pecked at her legs and she ran away, and that made him angry. So he chased her, and your roosters are very fast. And luckily my other daughter let our golden retriever out, and he ran down and kind of saved the day. He's just a puppy, but he got
good job, Henry.
So I called up the lady who I said, "What is with?" She was really anxious to get rid of this rooster.
Now you know.
Now you know why.
What's up with this rooster? Oh, it's not that bad. She was, my last rooster was much worse. And I was like, oh, I'd hate to see your last rooster. So
Oh God.
I don't know. We're going to give him a little bit long. She may be watching too. Who knows? I don't know. The woman who gave me the rooster. So, but we're going to give him a few more days to see if he shapes. But yesterday I went down to feed my horses and he was giving me the stink eye. Like I turned around and he was watching me. I was like, I'm going to live in fear of this rooster.
What's his name?
We don't even have a name for him, so maybe you girls could bring
Stinker?
Dinker or
Stinker.
yeah, I don't know, the Dark Lord Sauron or
Dark Lord.
So that's my story.
But you also had a rooster run away, didn't you?
We've had several not make it because we have a lot of critters out here.
We're gonna say that they ran away to go, hang out with the other chicks.
And this time
they went out looking for chicks. So KJ, how do you like your chicken?
I like my chicken fried. I will basically only eat it fried. I like popcorn chicken. That's good too.
That's good too.
And I would never eat one of the ladies, our own chickens. We would, we joke, it's pandemic times, but we're eating my daughter's guinea pigs first.
Ooh.
The chickens can stick around because they're useful. And
Right.
then they have horses, and whenever they're ornery and you're walking one, you're like, yeah, you're the first one. We're eating you first. It's you.
I love it.
I did guinea pig in Peru. It's a delicacy, and
That's why,
I had some guinea pigs.
I did not know
Tastes
people
like
ate that.
chicken.
It tastes like chicken.
Tastes like chicken.
Doesn't everything?
Please apologize to your daughter. Okay.
She'll probably hear me. I'm surprised she's not up here. Dr. Evil and Quill. That's what they name. Dr. Evil would be a good name for your rooster.
Dr. Evil, yes.
He's
Yes,
Dr. Evil, aka Little Sebastian. I have no idea.
Chicken names like Nasty Bird. Christine's name.
Our chickens are just like stripy and browny and
They're nice. They're all,
other browny one. And
do you have
not anymore? We lose them periodically to critters too, so we
Yeah.
just name them after what they look like. Plus, it's hard to tell the same ones a lot apart.
yeah. I
Big
never
Goldie and Little Goldie.
Yeah, we stopped naming ours a while back too because they weren't sticking around long enough to get attached to. So
Oh no.
I
If
know.
you guys know author Steph Post, Steph is really cool, very funky. I love Steph Post, but a lot of her Facebook posts are about her chickens, and she like raises little chickens. They all have these like very literary names or very old fashioned names, like Clotilda and all of these. I love the names. It's
They
just
must
got
not
these.
be pre-ranged then.
No, they're in their little buildings, and she's got them kind of to go from her house to the nursery hutch to all the way up. But she's got vultures that she's named. That come into her yard all the time. She's got turkeys. She's got like all of these. They're a story in themselves. So if you connect with Steph Post on Facebook, she has great chicken stories and all of the pictures that she posts about like your morning chicken. Here's your chicken. And she has one that I'm particularly attached to named Hyacinth. I love Hyacinth because I love the British comedy that has Hyacinth in it. And so I was like, Hyacinth, and I sent her a little meme picture of Hyacinth from the show. And she's like, that's who she's named after. I was like, I love Hyacinth. So I'm attached to Hyacinth, and I hope nothing ever happens to Hyacinth. So
Sounds like he's got a pretty cushy life. So
all of those chickens have a very cushy life. She takes very good care of them. Alison, how do you like your chicken?
I like my chicken roasted, like skillet roasted with veggies all around it. I also love chicken curry.
Ooh.
Oh,
Very
that is also
good.
good.
Very good. And actually, I've got a very mini chicken story. Not as good as these guys' chicken story. I go for a long walk every day. Hi there. Somebody said hi.
Hi. Hey.
My world is like,
Look at that.
Oh,
my goodness.
That's like behind the screen. I need to take my screen down, don't I?
Yeah.
I love it. That's awesome, KJ. Tell us your story, Alison.
Sorry, yeah. So I go for a long walk.
I know
every
we
day.
got distracted by puppies.
I take a similar route, and I was coming back the other day, and of course everybody's walking with masks now, so you can just see, like the eyes. And I stopped by this house, and the woman came out of her driveway, and she said, "Excuse me." She says, "Have you lost a chicken?" I said, "No."
Typical question, right?
I'm afraid,
Yes, yeah.
no, I haven't. She's like, "Oh." She said, "Look at this guy." She said, "He just showed up in my driveway." And we're living in a sort of a small historic town. People aren't allowed to keep animals in their gardens here. So this chicken just appeared in our garden from somewhere. Chicken. She's like, "What am I going to do?" And I said, "You've asked all the neighbors?" She said, "Yes, I've asked all the neighbors." I said, "Do you like chicken?" I don't think she thought it was very funny. She said, "Oh, but look how gorgeous it is." I said, "Yeah, it's very nice. I hope you find its mama and its papa." I have no idea how it got there, because of course they don't fly, right? I mean, they don't fly.
Oh, really?
Far.
But not
It's more of a
Just
flopping
enough to
with
get over
minimal
your fence and into
velocity.
trouble.
So it must have walked a long way, that chicken.
That's going to be some tough chicken legs. It's going to need to really braise that chicken to get those chicken legs tender again. It's a lot of workout. Well, this show's gone sideways. Let's keep going sideways. Peggy, what's your chicken choice?
Oh, okay. I'm from Alabama. Yes.
Fried.
But I like all sorts of chicken. I have my chicken.
People who don't want it fried are lying.
I agree. It's the best.
The way, right?
Iron skillet that was my grandmother's,
Mhm.
and it's my fried chicken skillet. And I have this huge procedure I go to make. I think it's in this book, actually. One of my characters is a fried chicken aficionado as well. Angus, he's one of the people being uprooted from his homes, actually. But yeah, fried chicken. I like chicken any way you can make it. It's my go-to. I mean, really. But fried chicken, I mean, seriously, people, can we talk? Alison, I've never heard you mention fried chicken. Do you like it? You don't?
She's lying. She's lying.
Well, I know you people like weird things over in Scotland. I know it's haggis.
Haggis.
Like
Do you eat haggis? We're going to have to question your culinary choices, Alison.
She's a good cook. I know she's a great cook, but they do eat, it's different. It's different. What I haven't had haggis, but what is it? It's oatmeal and sausage or something?
Yeah, I mean, it used to be pretty nasty. I mean, it was all the kind of like bits and pieces you didn't want to eat, basically stuffed inside a sheep's stomach and cooked.
Yeah,
None of that sounds
appetizing.
good.
And you don't like fried chicken. Let's get this straight.
Yeah.
What exactly is it about the fried chicken that is less preferable to sheep's stomach?
Yeah, I said old times. It was like
okay. So how do we do it now?
more, and it doesn't actually mean I eat it.
Okay.
It might be my national dish, but I don't always eat it. But actually, my husband has now figured out a way to make what we call user-friendly haggis.
Okay.
It doesn't have any of the nasty parts in it. And it basically it's kind of like a lamb sausage with oatmeal and spice. Anyone we ever serve it to, they all go, "Oh, no, I don't think so. Oh, I don't think I'm going to try it." And then they try it and they are like, "Wow, we love this."
Oh, yeah.
Is yours in a sheep's stomach too? That's good, because I think that honestly is the part that I have the hardest time getting through.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know that I could even approach that to get to the stuff inside if it was that way.
That was in the days of Rob Roy that it was made like that. So.
No, but wouldn't that be like a modern sausage casing, a sheep's stomach?
Yeah, I guess it would.
Yeah, it's probably similar to just a sausage casing. Nola, have you ever had a sausage with the casing?
Well, that's true. That's an intestine, isn't it? That's
So
just
you probably had it, and you just didn't know you were eating it.
You
I
actually
like to pretend it's a synthetic casing, even when it says natural casing. I'm just gonna go natural. Natural could mean all kinds of things. It doesn't necessarily have to mean it's an intestine.
Yeah, when I say to
I
my
eat boudin. I mean, I eat Cajun food. I really can't question all of your culinary choices. I have eaten alligator on more than once in various ways. So. It's always best not to ask what's in Cajun food. Just eat it.
just eat.
Because you don't know. Like there are some interesting ingredients, especially if you get it like somewhere out in the country. It's like a mom and pop thing because they'll cook just about anything they got out there. So don't ask. Just eat it.
Ask, just eat.
Don't ask. Just eat it.
Okay.
When you're out in the you can get some of the best food you ever had kind of out in the sticks of South Louisiana, but don't ask what's in it or how they made it. Just eat that. Not only that, but you really don't want to think about how many calories are in that food. You really don't. It's kind of like the fried chicken. You were talking about the cast iron chicken skillet. And my grandparents always fried chicken. And it didn't stink up the house. Like when my mom would fry chicken, it always felt, it smells like fried food all the time, but it didn't. And I was like, Papa, how do you fry chicken and it's not stinky? And he said, well, you fry it in lard and it doesn't stink up the house. A
little lard.
Well, that tastes good, but lard. So apparently you fry it in like lard or Crisco. It does not stink up the house as much as frying it in oil does. So that's how he did it.
That's a good tip.
Pro tip.
Yes, pro tip. If you are not worried about the calories in your fried chicken, fry it in Crisco or lard and it's not stinky. So,
no.
Heidi Rose says chicken in the air fryer. I don't know. That might be Southern sacrilege. I'm going to give it to you, Heidi. But
if you're going to
back me up on this.
Yeah,
you got to fry it in the grease. It's okay if you're trying to, tame it in, rein it in a little bit, but just go full fried chicken. It's just better.
We bought a deep fryer. It was our pandemic purchase. We had one of those little Fry Daddy things, a little pot.
I've got one of those.
And my daughter accidentally killed it because she both turned it on with the plastic lid on it and she forgot to look to see if there was any oil in it. So it died, and we were all extremely grateful to her because we made that our excuse to buy like a real, like a fancy, it's got a basket. And,
wow.
Yeah. We fry everything now. We're like,
I love it.
How about that? We have oil from last night. Can we fry this?
What can't you fry? It's like
Fried
contest now.
fried butter.
It's so good.
Fried green tomatoes.
Fried okra.
Yes. I make
we have not yet fried okra. My husband would be so happy if we fried okra. I gotta fry some.
Delicious. I love fried okra.
I love it too. I just haven't thought
I like it too.
I love fried okra. Boudin balls. We'll make boudin balls. Those are really good. It's the boudin. It's the bits and pieces of the pork you don't want to talk about.
Yeah.
It's like haggis, I guess. Only instead of oatmeal,
Come on,
it's rice.
Nola.
It's very similar, I guess. It's like, with pork and liver, pork liver. And I hate the idea of liver, but I can eat it in boudin because I'm, again, not thinking about what's in it.
And it's fresh.
Yeah. And then, you can do the sausage and it's grilled. It's got so much seasoning in it that you really can't tell like what all is there because it's just spicy and delicious and good. But then you can take the stuff that's out, in the casing out and you roll it into balls and you put it in like a flour and cornmeal mixture and deep fry it. Oh, mama, that is some good stuff.
I mean, what would you not eat in a flour and cornmeal mixture and then deep fry?
I know, right? I've seen people deep fry watermelon slices.
Oh.
You watch Carnival Eats and they'll fry all kinds of weird stuff.
Fried shoes are good. I mean, anything fried, honestly.
Didn't Paula Deen put herself in trouble with like the American Heart Association because she fried butter?
They have
you can fry anything in the South.
Butter. I tried some once. Fried butter.
Good.
Yeah.
It is actually really good because it's just
why it wouldn't be.
Why wouldn't it be? Yeah.
Now, Nola, dirty rice is a Cajun staple. I mean, dirty rice is made with livers. That's why it's dirty. It gets dirty from the livers.
Yep.
And everybody
You gotta not.
"Do you want some dirty rice?" I'm like, and I know that they're kind of picky because I'm like, do you know what dirty rice is? No, but it's not all the boudin, ruskins, and everything. I said, it's chopped.
You don't want to know.
So, then they're like, "Oh, no dirty rice," I like
But it tastes good. It tastes really good. But it's not one of those things that I'll cook because it's like if I have to know that I'm handling that, it's like it's too much in the front of my mind that that's in there. I can forget about it if somebody else has made it. But if I'm dealing with it, then it's like, that's the ingredient that's in here. You're eating that. And it's like, I can't get past it. So I have to just let other people handle the ingredients I don't like that are in Cajun food that I really don't want to admit is there. But I will tell you that fried gator tail tastes like chicken. So the texture does not, but the taste tastes like chicken. Yep, I don't know
what the texture is like.
It's actually kind of like a scallop.
It's chewy.
Yeah, it's like a chewy scallop.
Chewy.
Very chewy, but it tastes just like chicken. If you try it.
When I was last time I was in New Orleans, I took a tour. It was like an alligator swamp tour. It was the most fun thing I've ever done in my life. They took us on buses out, just God only knows where we were. And these Cajun boys took us out on boats, and they were feeding the gators, and we were just surrounded by gators. And then we had a gator dinner after that. It was quite an experience.
Wow.
Now, what were they feeding them? Because I'll tell you what they were feeding them on the gator tour that I went on here in just a minute. Tell me do you remember what they were throwing to them?
I don't know, but I remember how they said, "Here, boy, here, boy," and they come swimming up.
Yeah, so I went on one, and it was like taking like a pontoon boat out in Barataria Swamp. And I was glad that I did the one in Barataria because in book 3 of the Crescent City series, they go out in the Barataria Swamp. And so we're going through there and past this like cemetery that's in the middle of the swamp and like all this cool stuff. Then we go like deep in there and they're feeding the alligators. But what they are chucking to these alligators, I kid you not, are jumbo marshmallows. This is what they feed.
That's right. I remember it now. It was marshmallows.
Marshmallow.
That is so
and the gators are coming up to the boat. Who knew that you could lure a gator with a marshmallow?
Is that bad for them, do you think? Do you think animal rights people could like go after them for feeding them marshmallows? I don't know.
It's not natural, I'm sure, but I figure that it's kind of like giving a dog a treat. It's not what they would naturally eat, but it's a treat. I mean, they're going to get full off of something other than a marshmallow. I mean, they'll get full off of whatever tourist decides to pet them on the head and falls in. But the marshmallow is probably just a treat to them.
And who was the first person who discovered that? Who's the first person? Oh, they really love marshmallows.
I think there was some drunk Cajun coming back with their groceries. We're just like,
here. Keep them from eating them. If you throw marshmallows at them on the way to your house, you won't get eaten by a gator.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Then they go the other way.
That's how I thought with about because the puppies were barking so loud when they were cooking the food away from, the plantations in South Carolina. The cooks would throw them bits of dough and say "hush puppy." So that's how you got the name hush puppy. They probably did the same thing with the alligators.
Probably trying to get them to go the other way.
I make this stuff as I go along. It's just.
Oh, that's interesting.
Well, the hush puppy story is absolutely true. I mean, that is exactly where the hush puppies came from, which is, I love that story. And that is it. I mean, you just take that fish batter and just fry it up and go throw it to the dogs so they'll go away and quit messing with the food. But
I have a picture of me sitting on a gator at Gatorland because that's something that I've done, but I couldn't find it. That's what I was scrolling. I was not rudely looking at my text message. I was like, I find the gator picture, but I can't find it.
I love it. We had a picture when I was a kid. We had gone down to there's the islands down the coast of Louisiana, and we went to the islands around where John James Audubon drew all of his stuff, and all of these islands are just gorgeous. But there's an alligator refuge down there, and so you're walking along, and there's this sign that says, "Do not feed the alligators." And we're like, who would do that? And especially ironic then is the gator sitting underneath it, sunning himself with his mouth open. And we're going, is this a drive-through? So it's like very quickly going the other direction. It was really weird. We're like, oh my God, what's the irony of this? And of course, all we had then were regular cameras and stuff. So I don't have that picture anymore. But I'll never forget walking by that alligator under the "Don't feed the alligator" sign. He obviously didn't read the sign.
He did, and he wasn't going to get any marshmallows, was he?
So how do you end up sitting on an alligator? How does this not go horribly wrong for you, KJ?
You go to Gatorland.
Where they're well fed.
Sort of combination, exploit the gators / save the gators / it's very knowing and meta. Like they're very much mocking themselves, and yet it's still Gatorland. It's like
a saddle.
As you go to a convention with a lot of your friend women that would look a lot like this, and somebody says, "Hey, we got a while before this thing starts. Let's go to Gatorland." And then you have to be the kind of person whose response to who wants to sit on the alligator is, "I'll be first. I'm first." So, yeah, I held a boa constrictor too.
Ooh.
Oh, wow.
You're gonna be there, all in.
You gotta do it. Well, that was one of the warnings, Peggy. I don't know if they gave you that warning too, that, as you're looking at the gators, also look up because the water moccasins will drop out of the trees into the boats. I said, if one falls in, just don't move, we'll get it.
That sounds awful. Oh.
Yeah. So water moccasins.
Gatorland had a lot of cement paths.
that would be the way to see the gators right there.
I'm serious. Anybody who's watching this video, if you guys ever go to New Orleans, sign up for these gator tours. Oh, they're wild. Even if you're not interested in alligators, you see a different part of Louisiana that's completely unique. I mean, it was pretty cool.
It's stunning. It is absolutely stunning how so much life can come up out of the water. Woo. I mean, because you don't know where the solid ground is versus the not solid ground, and everything is dressed in lace. I mean, it is all that Spanish sauce everywhere.
Yeah,
it is some of the most beautiful landscape, nature that you will see. You just have to understand that most of the living things in it, other than the people driving the boat, will kill you. So you got to say, on the boat. It's not a whole lot that won't.
I don't know if I will go on this gator tour.
The boat.
It should be its own country out there. It's just the people. The people are wonderful, but they are so different from anybody I've ever met in the United States. These people who live down there. I mean,
they're amazing. They really are. The life that they've carved out in that area, and they're very proud of it. It is very humble, but they are very proud of it. It is super cool to go down there and talk to those people. If you can understand them. I mean, they have a very thick accent when you get down deep in there. But man, they can cook and they can play music like you will not believe. And they are just the nicest people. They just really are.
It's an interesting culture. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yet the life that lives in the water, we're below sea level down there. Most of the life. There's so much life in the water. It's amazing. It's amazing. Well, ladies, we have talked for quite a while, and we haven't talked books yet.
Is this the Gator Show? I came on this thinking we were going to talk about gators.
This is the Gator Show.
This is the Gator Show.
I wanted to know, did they have saddles that you sat on, that you put saddles on the gators?
It was just that then they swapped the gator out, and the gator didn't get sat on too much. And I knocked over a little kid so I could be first. Because
you knocked over a little kid.
That's what my friends say.
Your friends.
I definitely elbowed one of them.
I'm going to hurt. I love it. Christine says she thought it was a cooking show. We talked about chicken. We've talked about gators. We've talked about marshmallows. We've talked about so many things. Gosh, so we've had a lot of fun and not talked about books other than a Reese's Book Award. So
That's so cool.
this is like super awesome. But we are writers. We do write. I promise you we do.
Yeah, but that's how you get a good story is you sit on an alligator and it comes.
There you go.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah,
This
that's
is
the
how the magic
That's how
happens.
the magic happened. I gotta go back down there because I'm working on another book. So
There you go. So you got to go back to Gatorland. Got to go back to Gatorland. So we'll talk books for just a minute, and then we're gonna go into a ghost story because I got a good one for you guys tonight. I always do a New Orleans ghost story, and I know Alison, you live in a haunted house, so you gotta have a good story, right? I was watching you tell Annie about your haunted house and your ghost.
Oh, yeah.
I was like baiting you for answers, and they're like, but this one, I want to know more about quit talking about that other stuff. Go back to the ghost. That's my jam. Anyway, so you guys in some way, shape, or form are all some sort of women's fiction. Laura, you're across genre a little bit.
Yeah.
But women's fiction, and I know, Peggy, you like the pricklier issues. Alison's a tearjerker. KJ, you've got feuding sisters that cook chicken. So it's sort of like a cooking show in a way. So what drew you to writing for women primarily? What is it about writing for women that you find the most enjoyable, or that, what do you enjoy getting back from having chosen that particular genre?
Me?
What is it for you? Anybody, jump in.
Oh, well, because I'm cross genre, I don't really know how to. Oh, I mean, I am a woman, and my books are first person, so in some ways, I feel like I'm recounting my own experiences, and I'm kind of it's kind of therapeutic for me.
Mm-hmm.
The first person narrative was, I felt like I was working through a lot of kind of my past issues through my main character, so I kind of wrote it for myself selfishly. But I do like it when female readers come to me and say they can relate, or she's interesting, or they love the character. So that's just that's satisfying to me. So I guess that would be my answer to that.
What do you guys think? Peggy, you were nodding down there. What do you think?
Well, obviously it's just I'm a woman for starters, and it's easy for me to write about, in my tread through life basically, and what I experienced. And it's nice to be able to have these people, different characters that you can speak through, and then you can even actually work out your own stuff. And you can, like I say, sometimes I like to take on some of the more prickly issues. My last book, there was an issue of, suicide and mental illness was in it, although it was very lighthearted. There were tons of chickens in it, just so you know. It took place in Key West. But, I, in my past, I've experienced firsthand mental illness, et cetera. And it was just a great way for me to, the dogs agree with what I'm saying. I'm so glad. Yes.
All the dogs are going to chime in now. From gators to dogs. Chickens, gators, dogs, natural progression.
And it just was able to work out some of that stuff for me, just some of the past, trauma and some of the stories of my life. And it's just a wonderful journey. And I write as well in first person, a dual perspective. I generally have a couple of protagonists playing off of each other. And they've been, up until this book I'm writing now, women in their 20s and 30s. And now I'm writing more to my age. The protagonists are in their 50s. But that's not even my age. I'm even a little bit further than that, which is scary to talk about. But anyway, it's fun it's really fun for me. It's amazing how, and I'm sure all of you women can agree, you sit down with one sentence and you look up and 30 minutes has gone by and you've just been crafting that sentence over and over and playing with it's just, to me, it's a bit like a puzzle too. It's very, 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 very soul enriching and therapeutic. Okay, someone else's turn.
I don't entirely get why, if you're Philip Roth and you write about marriage, it's fiction. And if you're one of us and you write about marriage, it's women's fiction.
There's that.
Why is that?
Why is that? And I do like Philip Roth, by the way. He writes excellent fiction, but it's not.
I'm not
fiction.
anybody, but it's not like, I mean, the literary commercial distinction is is sort of its own weird thing, but that women's category, and that doesn't, I mean, I wrote what I wanted to read and I love it. And I do read, things I read are labeled women's fiction, but I just don't like, why would that be? Why did we, we thought that was a good plan. But then again, we read most of the fiction. So fine, great. More for us.
More for us. Like, you don't see anybody writing men's fiction.
No.
And I was trying to think of someone like a man.
What would that look like?
I don't know. Well, like Stephen Rowley, like the editor is up here. That would be a good, I mean, it's kind of literary, but it's, and here, what about, where's A Star is Born? Where are you, A Star is Born? I mean, these are dudes.
Yeah.
They're
dudes. So
I gotta find A Star is Born. It's so good. Oh, there it is. So good. This is women's fiction. It's he was an assistant to Carrie Fisher, and while this is not a book about being an assistant to Carrie Fisher, yes, it is. It's this is his husband's, but the author, which is kind of fun, or his fiance, which is kind of fun.
Oh, that's cool.
Anyway, those are like lighthearted, fun fiction. They probably are like, we need a category. What's our category? Like, where do they fit in? I don't know.
That is interesting. That is very interesting. Alison, what about you? What about this genre speaks to you, or what types of responses have you gotten from women that have read your books that are like, hey, thanks for writing that women's fiction book? Or do you feel like you fit, or is that mold comfortable for you, or how do you feel about it?
I find it really interesting because when I first started writing, I didn't have a clue what genre I was writing. I was writing a book.
Yeah.
And I can't remember who just said it. Somebody, I'm sorry. I wrote it because I enjoyed reading that type of book. And that was the sort of niche I found myself in. And it wasn't until I started, with an agent and I was looking at publishing that someone said to me, well, this is women's fiction. And I said, okay, but does that mean that men would enjoy it? Am I doing something wrong? Am I, pigeonholing myself? And she's like, no, this is the genre, and it's very broad ranging. But I think generally for me, I like to read character driven books and books that have a very strong emotional sort of undertone.
Yeah.
And so that is what I write. And I think in some respects, I've almost kind of ended up in that genre without realizing it. But definitely, I mean, if you look at the stats, on many of these, well, certainly with Lake Union books, you can actually track your demographic very precisely in terms of who's buying your books. And, it's a very, very high percentage are female. They're all within a certain age range as well. So I think the emotional things tend to appeal. Yes, exactly. They tend to appeal to the female reader more so than the male. And as I say, because it's something I love to read, that's kind of where I've focused myself. It's not a place.
Alison, wasn't your first book written in the perspective of a man, an older man? That was your first book, so obviously you weren't writing to genre.
Well, that's what I'm saying, because I really didn't know. I just was writing a book. I mean, who knew? At that time, I had no clue about publishing. I just was writing a book. And so, I wrote it from the perspective of a 65-year-old man.
Yeah.
And funnily enough, that's actually one of my most popular books.
In women's fiction, the main character is a man, and that's the book that everyone wants. I love it. I think it's great. And that's one of the things that I love about women's fiction is that it is so broad. Like you said, it's broad, wide-ranging types of books and stories. And I think it's interesting that you can really find that group of women that relates to it. And I think, like Peggy started to say, that they tend to be older women. I think when you have those books that are pulling at heartstrings and those high emotion books like that, I think women who have lived life can relate to those so well. Those emotions we've all felt that maybe those that are a bit younger haven't quite felt the depth of those emotions yet. They will, but they may not be able to relate on such a powerful level yet. And that's why those books speak to women of a certain age as well.
Well,
KJ,
frankly, I mean,
you want to add? Go ahead, Peggy.
I no, I just don't. I can't imagine. I mean, having all these children underneath, in my household and carving out time to write. Laura, I mean, I just don't, congratulations, kudos to you. I didn't start really writing until my kids had flown the coop, because I was also working, of course. I had my own business, and then everything else. It's just amazing to me that you guys can, it's because it's such a full-time job, these kids. Oh my God, especially in pandemic times. I can't.
Yes, because they're home. They're home all the time. So yeah, you don't really get any time to yourself.
No.
You've got a full house, Laura. I mean, I've got one that's still here and 2 in college.
And we have the one home from college because he's University of Michigan.
Oh,
home from the University of Michigan because they shut down. So we have all 4 with us now.
Thank you for staying out of Ann Arbor.
Yeah. But we're a blended family, so my kids and my husband's kids go to their other parent every other weekend. So that's when I carve out a little bit of time sometimes too. But then I'm always thinking about housework, and I'm thinking about, it's hard for me to turn it off and write. It's hard for me.
It was a lot easier for me when I could leave my house. Like, I would go sit at a coffee shop or something and just, I could say, this is my time to write. I'm stepping away from my house. I'm going to go to this place. I'm going to sit here for this amount of time. And it's usually like when I have to pee, because I've had too much coffee, I don't want to get up and walk away from my computer. It's time to go home. And so it's like, I know I have at least that much time. But now it's hard.
It would help me for sure to be away, but I like my computer and I like all my stuff. So it's a catch-22, I guess.
KJ, how do you do it? You've got clearly kids at home. We've met one.
Well, that was the youngest, so that's part of how I do it. He's 14, so, and I've got one at college too.
My youngest is 14.
I have 4 too. Yeah. So, pretty. And now, so you know what I mean? I had a full-time but work from home job for most of their childhoods. So their expectation is that I will be holed up in an office. That's okay. It's always been that way. So they don't. Yeah. They don't like look at me and see, oh, you could drive me somewhere. I mean, of course they ask because they're teenagers, but they don't have that, like, their whole lives. That's what their whole lives have been consisted of me staring at a laptop and saying, no, go out. It's in a little, I'm working. Sorry. I'm working. And so for 5 years, it was for other people. So it's to transition to doing it for myself is, I think, probably not as having them all home. I mean, that's different, but yeah.
That's a lot. Like, that can absolutely be a lot.
And also, they want to eat all the time.
Yes. Oh my gosh.
And dishes. I mean, if they would also just eat it out of the bag or something, that would be okay. But no, they have to use glasses.
And forks. They have to use forks.
And then they leave them everywhere. What is it with teenagers leaving things places? It's like, when did my end table become the dirty dishes sink? Put it in the dishwasher. Like, dude, walk 20 steps. Stop it. I mean, oh my gosh. I'll tell you what.
And that's why we have a hard time writing, right? Because we're trying to pick up the dirty dishes.
Or yell at them to go get them. I mean, I try to set a good example. You dirty the dish, you go pick it, you put it, and it takes more time and effort to get them to go and do it. The sloth, I'm going to move as slow as I can. I don't really want to do it. And of course, I'm standing there going, go faster. I'm telling you, go. This, you have to, don't get it out if you're not going to put, and then I'm in a bad mood and I can't write. So
do charts work for you guys? Charts, like,
I have a chart for my kids.
Yeah. You have charts with chores?
I do. Yeah.
Mine were all 4 years apart. So it was always, the oldest is 22 and then 18 and 14. So they're so far apart that it was like the chart was so weird because it was like
stuff they could.
It was like the oldest was the only one who could do anything really, and then it was the older 2, and they're like, but what about this one? She's making the biggest mess, and she's not actually having to do anything. So it didn't really work as well with that wide an age range. So and it's like somebody always had to go somewhere and do something, and My son was on 3 different hockey teams at one point, and my daughter did theater, and too much. And so it was like we got real. Yeah, it was like just get it done, just whatever. And so we basically, for a bulk of my children's childhood, just lived in a shove it somewhere out of the way of company was coming kind of philosophy. I'm telling you what, when somebody says you're dropping by, you can clean so fast.
I'm OCD, so I always kind of have my house kind of ready. Okay, that's hence the chore chart. Oh. So they all do their chores and they mark it off, and they get $1 for every chore that they do, and then I cap it, and and I mark it every day.
Put the vacuum cleaner in the middle of your filthy house, so at least if someone's coming over at the last minute, they know you have the intention. The vacuum cleaner just out there.
It's like, you caught me right as I was about to plug in the vacuum cleaner.
Yes,
or you can say, I just got back in town. I'm sorry, everything was crazy before we left. And it's like, things just went nuts. So we're trying to put it all back together now. I'm very OCD with my apartment now. I mean, it was different when it's things have scaled way down. And it's mostly just me, and then I have my 14-year-old around too. But it's like now that I've scaled it back, now it's manageable. It's just me. There's no man messing up my house anymore. And it's just like, okay, now I'm very OCD about it. Now it's like, you can go there being lunatic when things are out of place. My daughter climbed into my bed the other day and was watching YouTube under my covers, like under my covers in my bed. I was like, what are you doing? She's like, I'm watching TV and I was cold. I got under the blankets. Like, no, you get a blanket. Don't mess up my bed. Get out of my bed. She's like, what is wrong with you? I like to go to bed and pull back nice made up sheets. Yep. It's a thing. Out of my bed. She's like, it's a bed, Mommy. Get in it when you're cold and you're laying down. I was like, no, not mine. So things have gone kind of the other direction from, shove it when company comes to just don't make my bed just to watch TV. So yes, full circle here. I promised you a ghost story, and I do have one for you. Ooh. And I promised Peggy I wouldn't creep her out too much. So here we go. So for our New Orleans mystery and history. I always say it both ways, and then I have to read the slide to see which way I'm supposed to go. I'm going to introduce you to the Pharmacy Museum on Charter Street. The Pharmacy Museum is the home of the very first pharmacy and the first licensed pharmacist in the United States. And so the first pharmacist was Louis de Philo. He was a French immigrant, and he opened shop in 1823. Now, Mr. de Philo was a great man, and he was very benevolent, took good care of a lot of people for a long time. He was a great pharmacist, and he kept this beautiful shop, and the Pharmacy Museum has been restored to Mr. de Philo's former glory here. And so he had these beautiful mahogany shelves and all of this stuff, all of his things, and he had to take a 3-hour oral exam. Governor Claiborne mandated that they had to pass a 3-hour oral exam to become a pharmacist, and he was the first person to pass it. So he was great. And Mr. de Philo decided to give up shop after like 35 years of serving the people of New Orleans. He opened up his shop in 1823. In 1855, he decided to retire, and he moved back to France and promptly died. But he's not really the story here. When Mr. de Philo went away, this wonderful, lovely man, he went away, a new pharmacist moved in. And this new pharmacist was awful. So he did not do benevolent things like create quinine that was fighting yellow fever and wonderful things. No, James Dupont, he did horrible things. So he's like the anti-Mr. de Philo. So James Dupont, Dr. Dupont, comes in, and what he decides to do is experiment on medical procedures. He wanted to experiment with medical procedures that he had heard about, that he had read about, that he didn't know how to do. Well, he decided he was going to experiment on the people of New Orleans, and what he did was very unethical and very horrifying. what he would have done is he would have slaves, especially pregnant slave women, kidnapped and brought to him to the pharmacy. And he wanted to learn how to do a cesarean section. He didn't know how to do it. And many of his patients, of course, died in the process. And so as he's learning on what he considered disposable people, it was just horrible. But he kept this all very secret. And what he had was this particular carriageway here. And if you look at the top of the picture there, what you can see are the two doors. And this is from the courtyard looking back. So in the very back of this little archway, you can see what looks like the grate. That's the front gate that it actually faces Charter Street. And I've stood at those gates. I've been to the pharmacy museum and toured it, and stood in this courtyard. Those two doors are part of where he supposedly did away with the bodies of the people who didn't survive his experiments. He also gave them all kinds of experimental drugs to see what would happen. A lot of these things were mixed with poisons and cocaine and heroin and all these things to see what would happen in these various quantities that he was mixing things. And of course, it killed most people. And so he would push the bodies out of the doors right there and put them into a waiting carriage. And then their bodies would be taken out into the swamps and they would be submerged out there, which is what they were doing with a lot of yellow fever victims that they could not get, they didn't want their bodies in the city decaying because they thought that would spread the disease. And so they would they'd sink them in the swamps, which is probably one of the reasons why the swamps give you such a creepy feeling when you're out there anyway. But what you can't see in this particular shot of the pharmacy is back closer to that gate. There is also, you see where the beams are going one direction in that part, that section of the archway there. In the other section of the archway, there are some beams that run horizontal, not just vertical. And so what they think happened was that the good doctor, had created a trap door where he could actually drop the bodies straight through that trap door as well, or receive supplies kind of up and down through the floor so that nobody would actually see what he was actually working with. Now, the doctor is often seen in the pharmacy museum. He's this short, stout, mustachioed man that goes around messing with stuff. He rearranges the cabinets. He sets off the burglar alarm. He will push people, especially on this staircase right here. He's usually seen on this staircase. Now, this very first, if you're walking up the stairs, and these stairs are on the outside, the way that the houses in this part of New Orleans were built is the pharmacy, this part of the pharmacy is inside the building. This staircase is actually on the outside. That little archway over there on the right is the archway I just showed you. So it's outside kind of in the courtyard. So it's kind of this inside-outside thing. Now, the very first curve of the stairs here, you see that window with the iron bars on it? That's actually looking into an area of the house that is called an entresol. The entresol is what the buildings were built with. That was an attic space that was between the first and second floors, because if they put an attic in the top floor of a house in New Orleans, the summer heat would ruin everything that was in it, because of course the heat rises and it would be an absolute mess. So to insulate things that were being stored, like furniture and clothes and other things, they built this shorter story between the first and second floor called an entresol, which basically kind of means in between. And Dr. Dupas is actually a very short person, even by Victorian time period standards. And so he actually did all of his experimentation rather than being down in the pharmacy where it could be seen, or even upstairs, which would have been the living quarters. He conducted his experiments in the entresol because he was short and he could get into that space, which was between 5 and 6 feet high, where he could do all of these things without having to stoop over quite so much. And so everything was pretty well hidden away. And so because that is where he did his dirty work, he is often seen on those staircases as if he's kind of guarding his workspace a little bit there. Now, here's something else that's kind of interesting about that. While Dr. Dupas is walking around there and he's kind of pushing people, tugging on them, rearranging things, setting off alarms, and has just this very heavy kind of evil spirit. Because of course he was, people say that when you die, what you were in life is kind of what you are in death. And so he's a very heavy spirit to have around. But in the courtyard is the fountain. And oftentimes there's a woman seen standing at the fountain. And some of the Dr. Dupas's crimes were discovered when they were doing some work to the courtyard. And what they actually found were victims' bodies that had been buried, the remains had been buried in the courtyard. Well, Dr. Dupas was not discovered while he was alive. Dr. Dupas succumbed to syphilis, the madness from syphilis, and died before anybody ever figured out what he was doing. It was not until after his death. So he escaped earthly justice, unfortunately. So he's doing his time walking around the pharmacy museum, I guess. Mm-hmm. But the woman, they think, happened to be one of his victims that had been buried out in the courtyard, and she stands next to the fountain. Now, here's something kind of weird. So she's pretty harmless. She doesn't do anything. It's Dr. Dupas that is actually kind of the problem. But this fountain, where she stands, is also the backdrop in an awful lot of wedding pictures. So one of the things that the pharmacy does is they downplay the kind of disastrous history of that building. So you see the curve that on the left-hand side of the black and white picture of the fountain, it's that same curve back behind that bride. They will actually line the pharmacy's courtyard with chairs and have weddings in that same courtyard where all of these horrible victims are, their miserable demise were buried. And I have to think, if his prime patient was a pregnant woman, that is a strange place to get married. Because that can't possibly bode well for anything in your future.
What a story.
So,
wow.
That is the story of the Pharmacy Museum, the United States' oldest pharmacy.
Is it really? So that's fascinating. Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you for the history lesson.
Yes, there you go. And I've been there. It is truly an odd place. And you just, knowing the story, you want to go in the entresol. I want to go in the entresol. And they don't let you in the entresol. But there's all kinds of
guides. I mean, you know those guides in New Orleans that take you all over the place and tell you these creepy things? You'd be
fun to do that. I would love to do that. I have a friend who does that too, and she's fantastic.
But do you think all those people who get married there know the history of the place or not?
I don't know. I think a lot of people think, wow, what a cool place. It's an old pharmacy. And, the pharmacy museum doesn't make a big deal about its history. It's more like, here's the history of pharmacology as we know it. And this is the oldest pharmacy in the United States. And we're going to talk about all of that. They're not going to talk about Dr. Dupas. They're going to talk about Dr. DeFilo. They talk about him a lot. Because he was pretty awesome. I mean, especially with the yellow fever epidemics that were so horrible, and he developed quinine. I mean, he was saving people's lives, and he did that because he was really interested in it. Because 1 in 6 New Orleanians was dying of yellow fever at the time, and it was this horrible epidemic. And of course, he's a doctor and a pharmacist, and he was feeling very helpless. And then his brother died of yellow fever. And so it was his mission to do everything he could for these yellow fever victims. So he's a wonderful man, and that's who they focus on. Right. Kind of leave Dr. Dupas out of it.
Yeah, I would think they would.
Yeah. So I don't know that these people who get married I don't know that all of them know. Now, there are some where you see the bride and groom kind of dressed a little more gothic. Those are the people who know. And they're there because it's funky and weird. Not because, they think it's this beautiful courtyard in which to get married with the big banana leaves and things, So these people, I wouldn't imagine that they know. They look far too happy and lovely in that picture. That's actually, you got to wonder, it's like, did any of those wedding photographers go, who's that lady back there? I didn't remember that.
I thought you were going to say that there was like spirits showing up behind them in their photos and stuff. I was waiting.
I bet there are. I bet there are.
Books written about that, Nola? Any books?
I don't know. I know there's a lot of stories about it, but I don't know. Now, Dr. DeFilo shows up in the sequel to my book, Sylvie's Pen. So Nightingale in the Square, the one that I'm writing now. Right. He shows up in there, but he shows up as the benevolent doctor who's doing wonderful things. However, if the series goes on, I may get to 1855, and then we may have Dr. DeFilo come in. And so, so Dr. DeFilo. Oh, and Christine Davis was asking about gators. Now, there's a gator in Crescent City Sin. We have that whole scene in the swamp with alligator. We have a gator protecting her nest in that one. It's just a moment with that gator, but she's there, by the way. But Dr. DeFilo comes in just a little bit. So he is actually in Nightingale on the Square that I'm working on right now, because I like to drop those real historical people in there, especially when you're dealing with a city as colorful as New Orleans. And he's a very minor character. He just kind of blips in here and kind of blips back out, but he is a real person. And I tend to kind of drop those folks in as minor characters. And actually a major character in that book is the Baroness de Pontalba, who was responsible for building the 2 twin buildings on either side of Jackson Square, the big red buildings. And her family was responsible for the Cabildo, the Presbytere, and the cathedral. That was her father who did that. She actually funded the renovations on the cathedral. And then she built the buildings that flank the square.
My niece was married there. Yeah, my niece was married there. That's so cool. That's so interesting.
Mm-hmm. So the Baroness de Pontalba, Michaela Almanestra, the Baroness de Pontalba, is in she shows up at the end of Sylvie's pen, and then she's a main character in Nightingale on the Square. So I like to use those historical people and kind of give them a voice when I can. But their stories are so fascinating that it's kind of fun to use them and weave them into the fiction, because they're just fun. I like it. Our Lagniappe is our favorite holiday song. So I'm going to let you think about it for a second while I talk about the Pulpwood Queens, and then we'll come back to it here. So I know you ladies are familiar with Pulpwood Queens and their Girlfriend Weekend Slumber Party, but if the viewers out there would like to join the fun, make sure that you go to the Pulpwood Queens website and you can get in on it. $1.99, $199 is what you need to pay for the entire weekend of some fabulous panels with some fabulous fun people. And I'm excited to say that Crescent City Sin is one of the picks for, I forgot what month. I gotta go back and look. I think it was July. I'm not sure. I think it was July's bonus book. So Laura had a book in there. Anybody else have a book? I know Claire did. Claire's on here. Alison, Peggy. No. Okay. So Pulpwood Queens, y'all gotta come join us. We're gonna have us some fun. We got some fun things we can't tell you about, but we're gonna do some fun things with our panel. And also, we'll let you guys tell me about your favorite holiday song. So on your mark, get set, go. What's your favorite holiday song? Laura?
Oh, Mele Kaliki Maka. I want to go to Hawaii for Christmas this year, so
that would be so much fun. KJ, what's your favorite holiday song?
We need a little Christmas
too.
I love that one. That's a good one.
I like that one. Alison, what's your favorite holiday song?
I think Christmas Tree.
That's a good one. I love that one.
The bagpipes.
Oh, that would be cool. Yes. Peggy, what do you think? What's yours?
Joy to the World.
That's a very good one too. I always like the Coventry Carol. I don't know the words or anything, but I like the Coventry Carol. That one. I always thought it's very peaceful. I was like, oh, that's a lovely little song. There's no words. But when I was a kid, I always liked Hark the Herald Angels Sing, because I just liked saying hark at the beginning of the song because it was fun. I always felt like it kind of bounced at the beginning, and it was supposed to be hark there, but I always would do it hark. I was a weird kid, and I always had to have fun with the song there. I know many of your favorite authors would sign books for you. I would sign books for you. I would sign books for your friends. I would sign books for your friends' friends. All you got to do is give us a shout, and I know a whole lot of us would be happy to sign some books, because signed books make great gifts. So if you guys would like copies of Crescent City Moon or Crescent City Sun for the paranormal romance mystery, whatever this book is, it's fun, y'all. It's good. I think so. There are other people who think so. But if you've got a friend who would like a book, please get in touch with an author that you like and see if they've got some signed copies that they would be willing to send to you. If you want either one of these signed and personalized and shipped, $15 a piece is all it's going to cost you. Just give me a shout. I'm happy to do it. I got to sign some books for a student of mine who was getting my books for Christmas, and that was so fun. They were on her Christmas list. I was like, oh, that's so fun. And here's some recommendations for books that you might want to get signed. Claire's book, Little T, we're going to still leave her on there because she's supposed to be with us. She's here in spirit. We can feel her on the wind. Snow and Summer is the new one by Laura Kemp. Dignity and Grace is Alison Ragsdale's most recent release. Of course, the Chicken Sisters, with its lovely Reese's Book Club, the Hello Sunshine Book Club badge on it there. And then Ruby of the Sea by Peggy Lampman is there for you guys. So please check it out. Get you a book signed, because these ladies, I'm sure, can tell you if they don't have them for you, they can tell you where you can get one signed. Because authors we love writing in books, y'all. We love Sharpie and everything. I love writing books. But I'm happy to do that for you. Ladies, I want to thank you so much for spending so much of your evening with me. It has been an absolute joy. It has been hilariously funny. I feel like we didn't really talk much about books. We do write them. We do write books. We have that slide just to prove it when we go totally off the rails. That's why it's there. But comments we didn't get to, there are a whole bunch of them. Let's see. Christine says she's reading Sin right now. Looking forward to the Gators. So if you guys don't mind, if y'all want to go back through some of those comments and kind of see who was talking to you there that we didn't get a chance to put on the screen. I know there were a lot of great comments. I try to go back through them, and hopefully the authors will have a chance to go back through as well. It's always fun chatting with you guys. We love having you guys hang out in the comments. If you have missed any past episodes of the show, I cannot believe that this is, I've only done this show 16 times, y'all. You think I would know how to do this better by now. It's been 16. I still have to have my list. This is the order of the show. It sits here on my computer just in case I forget. I've done it 16 times. I still need a list. But this is episode 13. We've done 3 specials as well. We did a great forensic special. We did a holiday special. We did a Halloween special. Laura was on that one. We were telling ghost stories on that one. So if you've missed any of them, here's where you can find them. They're on lots of pages, but you have to scroll down pretty far. If you want a nice, easy place to go to YouTube. Check out Nola Nash Entertainment. That is where past episodes of The Second Line lives. So, ladies, thank you so much. It's been a blast. Thank you so much. And guys, join us.